And on pitch A, we have UOW coming out ready to demonstrate their rover. And
Give a round of
very
applause.
flashy wheels. Give a round of applause for the team.
University of Wollongong. The final team this morning to complete the post-landing task.
Incredible flashy colors coming from this rover team. The wheels particularly standing out, very bold, bright colors. And a rather thin chassis here that we're seeing, thinner than what we've seen before. So very conventional ones with the other rover teams where they're a bit more boxed. This one is much more flat. And we're seeing a much more wider robotic arm and a bigger end effector there.
It's a bit of a pizza box look, isn't it?
So this is University of Wollongong coming here to demonstrate their rover in the post-landing task. Their timer will kick off in just about a minute at about 1200 hours local time. And they will have 40 minutes available to complete this task, and there's up to 100 points available.
And talking about efficiency, it looks like their field team has already retracted away from the rover. And they might be ready to call it right on time. So a reminder that even though the challenge starts at a designated time slot for all teams, they can eat into this task time to continue setting up their rover with two-way communications between the base station and the field team. And it's only once the field team call it that it becomes no communications between the field team and the base station until an intervention is called if it's needed.
Cutting back to UNSW here. Still completing the space resources task. We've seen them transverse all around the pitch to prospect and identify where the resources are that will need to be extracted. And they still have about 9 minutes, so plenty of time to still obtain lots of points for the space resources task. This will be the last team before the lunch break today to complete the space resources task, as well as University of Wollongong here completing the post-landing task. Once these two teams have wrapped up, we will cut to a lunch break.
UNSW Canberra still on the field. Few snapshots there of some of the frozen regolith sites. Getting those all-important points. The base station team actually has a fair bit of decision making to do for this particular task. It's all about trying to guess or use scientific reasoning through some sort of sensor instrument to which site contains the most water content inside the frozen regolith. And that's what will get the team those precious points. And being able to identify that site is a really critical part of the presentation that they do after the completion of the task, confirming that they've used all of that knowledge that they've gained. Still 7.5 minutes remaining. Plenty of time to check out some other sites if they need to. Looks like the University of Wollongong team is coming back out onto the field. Those astronauts doing some last-minute fixes to their rover.
Still waiting for the initiation by the University of Wollongong to complete the post-landing task. We're hoping that this is final systems check, some troubleshooting to ensure smooth operations.
We're seeing a thumbs up. Looks like there might be power coming from that LED on the side. Something we were mentioning earlier too is that there is no Wi-Fi currently on the lunar surface. So teams are required to use radio frequency communications. Sometimes this system can take a while to boot up, even up to 5 minutes. So occasionally if a rover is stationary, they might just be waiting to establish that first contact.
Which is really one of the most challenging aspects of this, I think, is the communications establishment and the software development that goes into these projects.
Yeah, we spoke a little bit earlier about some of the sites that we plan to visit with future moon missions, far side of the moon, the South Pole, and all of those sites have their own communications challenges. They're sites that we didn't visit with the Apollo missions, and so they're breaking new ground and we're learning as we're going.
We're seeing some tools come out to do some final fixing, some final putting together. Hopefully, the rover will be able to operate in one piece.
Something that's been really impressive today is that I've not yet seen the use of the engineer's tool of choice, and that's duct tape. So far, it hasn't seemed like anyone has needed to do a repair with duct tape.
That's always a good sign.
That's always a good sign. Many zip ties, though, which I do encourage.
So still plenty of time for UOW here, with 34 minutes remaining to complete the post-landing task. Once again, up to 100 points available for this task, and 40 minutes, which you can see there, has already started on the countdown.
The field team that we see out here, these guys are experts in how the mechanical systems of the rover works. They need to be able to take it apart, access the core components, talking with the base station team, and be able to diagnose and fix what they think the issue might be.
And there's that base station hard at work to get things set up, establish communications, so that they are good to go to complete the post-landing task.
The field team are stepping away. This might be the beginning of an attempt.
I'm really excited to see that robotic arm in play.
Again, a completely different tread design on those wheels as well.
Very high clearance between the wheels and the chassis. Cutting back here to the second pitch, we have UNSW Canberra still completing the space resources task. Now just over 3 minutes remaining.
Will they be able to go to another site? Have they seen all they've needed to see? We'll find out.
And we have movement from the UOW rover team.
Congratulations, University of Wollongong.
A round of applause as all wheels successfully touch down on the ground.
They are on the lunar surface, ready to start the post-landing task, sponsored by ELO2. So some teams are required to switch drive modes so they can move backwards and forwards, but then to rotate, that is another separate system. So sometimes there are challenges where the rover can drive backwards and forwards, but then to do the rotation part, that requires another command, which can sometimes take a little bit of time.
And there's that overview there of the ELO2 post-landing task and the allocation of points for the activities that the rovers can complete and attain the number of points within 40 minutes.
Still some action there from UNSW Canberra as they head into the remaining minutes of their Space Resources task, sponsored by iSpace. Once again, great to see the perseverance here from all of the teams this morning. Every single team has attempted to compete in some capacity, and it's a real testament to the hard work throughout the year.
There's a lot of troubleshooting and problem solving going on with both teams as we await some action for the completion of the post-landing task for the UOW team and the Space Resources task for the UNSW Canberra team, which you can see there on your screen. They've got just under a minute left. Will they make some last-minute spontaneous action?
And the University of Wollongong have got movement again and a baby rover. Oh my goodness. This is the first I have ever seen of two rovers operating on the pitch. I'm so excited I can't even speak.
What an incredible achievement.
Oh my gosh.
A round of applause for that mini rover there. Some cheer from the crowds.
What we thought might have been an issue with the drive system was actually just the rover deploying another rover.
I must say that is extremely adorable.
That is unbelievable. That is the cutest rover I have ever seen. It's so small.
And on that note, cutting back to pitch B, that is all the time up for UNSW Canberra. So round of applause for UNSW. Great effort, even with the limited time they had, came out here and we've seen some fantastic action from there. So well done to UNSW Canberra for the Space Resources task. That will be the last team competing in the Space Resources task before lunch break. And now we cut back to UOW with their little baby rover, which we just cannot get enough of.
The little red rover that could. This is amazing. So all eyes are on pitch A now, where we still have two rovers operating. This is one of the first times that I've ever seen two rovers operated simultaneously by the same team to complete the post-landing task.
Just imagine the benefits that they're going to get out of this, hopefully. The efficiency and being able to even complete two tasks simultaneously, cutting down so much of that time. This is such an incredible initiative. We can't wait to see how this plays out. There's that movement from the little baby rover, which I really hope they have a name for. I think it'd be really, really cute, and I hope they do have a name for it.
We're getting the thumbs up from the team that there is a name from the smaller rover. They'll have to send this our way. I think the thing I love most too is that this smaller rover still has to comply to all of the same rules and regulations. So about a quarter of its space is taken up by an emergency stop button, just in case anything goes haywire.
Incredible maneuverability of the wheels.
Peering out from the crater. It's so cute.
That wheel design, once again, different approach to what we've seen before, but an incredible maneuverability for the University of Wollongong team here.
It's called Roo. The big one's Kanga. Would you look at that? We've got Kanga and Roo. And they've got the pouch. Oh my goodness. We're freaking out in the commentating box here right now. So we have Kanga, the big rover,
yep,
and the small rover
is Roo.
is deployed from a mechanism known as the pouch.
This is incredible.
That is about as Australian as you can get next to the Rover. So while Kangaroo is stopped, Roo is traversing over the lunar terrain, checking out some craters.
I actually can't see it. I'm trying to look for it.
Oh,
there
it's
it
just
is
out
at
of
the end
there.
there.
Yeah. And you
What
might be
incredible.
wondering what actually is the advantage of having a big rover and a small rover. And there's a whole field of robotics called swarm robotics. And there's sort of leading research looking at this idea of when we go to the lunar surface, why don't we take a swarm of small robots to either all do the same task or to do different tasks controlled by, I guess, a hive mind rover. And this is actually testing that concept right now. Again, the innovation from these teams. Swarm robotics is not something that we've seen yet on the lunar surface, but we're testing it out here today.
What an incredible achievement. Just the fact that they have this here to demonstrate and having it working. And just like Georgia was saying, the benefits are just very, very wide here in this case. And you can even see, like, imagine one rover, which we've seen here conventionally at the challenge, moving around to complete one task at a time, but incorporating that second mini rover to go around and complete the other tasks. I can't even speak because it's so adorable. To complete the other tasks simultaneously. Number one, you've cut down on your time that it takes of completing the task and then moving from one task to another. But number two, you've just got that efficiency where if you can incorporate multiple of these small robots, you can have that efficiency of covering such a larger area as well.
Throwback to the UOW GUI here. They've got 4 simultaneous cameras. Do we have a Roo cam? And it looks like they've got 2 joysticks as well. Potentially one to control Kangaroo and the other one to control Roo. And while we've both been distracted by the mini rover, Kangaroo is still making its way around the course. Looks like it successfully circumnavigated the lander, and it might be on its way over to some of the other sites.
That incredible display of the robotic arm on the rover. And there's the team. They must be very, very proud of themselves. I mean, just coming out here, but also deploying that mini rover or deploying Roo from Kanga. What an achievement that is to kick off their attempt at the post-landing task.
And it's interesting to see the strategy behind the drive of some of the teams too. Some teams have opted for rapid, fast movement, cover as much terrain as possible. But Wollongong have gone for almost kind of a simulated mission here. They're doing slow, careful movements, really making sure that they're going to exactly where they need to be.
It really is all about strategy at the end of the day. The UOW rover is making its way to the processing plant, it seems, perhaps to attempt one of the activities over there. And I just love that robotic arm, that really big robotic arm that's just held up really high, displayed there as the rover makes its way across the pitch.
Reminds me a lot of a crab claw.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to see that end effector on that robotic arm demonstrated.
I was going to say, have we lost Roo? Roo is still trying to get through that lunar regolith. Another additional challenge with its size as well. Being able to get over the top of that crater before was just phenomenal. Again, making use of some 3D printing technology here to generate that tire tread. And two different approaches too. You can see this one's kind of got spokes on the outside to be able to get the traction, compared to the primary rover, Kanga, which has gone for a completely different design. And I suppose the advantage of this as well is that you could almost test out new technologies on the smaller rover in preparation for a future iteration of your main rover. It's so cute. The little rover that could.
We're seeing a lot of action from Roo here, while we wait for Kanga, the bigger rover, to make its approach to the processing plant or to see what its next action will be. And just a reminder, we are almost at the halfway mark here at the post-landing task. This is the task sponsored by UOW, which is the consortium that is developing the first Australian lunar rover, which is called Rover, and that is going to be heading to the moon with one of NASA's Artemis programs, or Artemis missions. This task has up to 100 points available, which are allocated by a series of activities that can be completed on this pitch here today. And there's 40 minutes available. So we're just at the halfway point here for the University of Wollongong to complete the task. And once this rover wraps up its post-landing task, we will cut to our lunch break. And we will see you after that lunch break for the remainder of the teams competing in the tasks today.
Few moments here of deliberating from the University of Wollongong team, analysing what the rovers might be doing out on the pitch.
The team is hard at work in that mission control room.
Scrolling through their cameras. After the break, we're going to be seeing more teams competing in both of the same tasks that we've seen this morning. So there's still plenty of rover challenges and rover designs and approaches coming up later in the afternoon. So we'll be returning live after our lunch break at approximately 2 p.m.
That close-up view of Roo, that mini rover there, which seems to have a bit of a challenge with transversing that fine soil.
In case you missed it earlier, I suggest going back on the live stream. There was a moment where the Kanga rover, the main rover, descended down the ramp and paused for a few moments. We couldn't see what was going on over here in the commentary box, only to see a miniature rover appear. So the primary rover had been able to deploy a smaller rover. So Kanga deployed Roo from the pouch mechanism. I could say there was some kind of tech spin-off there, taking inspiration from a kangaroo.
So once again, if you've just joined us now, we're here at the 5th Australian Rover Challenge 2025. I'm Shagaf here, joined by Georgia. We're your commentators for today, and we've seen incredibly exciting events take place here with some university teams come here from across Australia and also from outside the country to demonstrate their fully student designed and built rovers, which has just been an incredible sight to see so far. This is a 4-day challenge, so we have kicked off today, but it will run from Thursday through to Sunday. The main challenge is comprised of 4 main tasks. There's the post-landing and space resources task, which are taking place today and tomorrow, simultaneously on the first and second pitches. And then on the weekend, you'll see the excavation and construction task, as well as the mapping and autonomous task, which will take place on these pitches. So these teams have really come out here to demonstrate these rovers in a number of tasks over the 4 days here in Roseworthy at the University of Adelaide Roseworthy campus, where it seems to be peaking at about 30-something degrees, I think. Very sunny here, but beautiful weather and a great sight of incredibly demonstrated lunar rovers here on the lunar soil.
I think that's a great point about how the challenges are going to change over the next few days. And so if we think we've seen everything from these rovers, we're just at the beginning. They're still going to have to showcase that they can do clearing of space debris, building of lunar constructions, and also operating semi-autonomously and potentially fully autonomously as well. Still some investigating there happening from the rover. Kangaroo is paused at the moment. Maybe they're trying to get the robotic arm working. We'd love to see that in action. For anyone in the audience today aspiring to be a rocket scientist or a space engineer, you're seeing here today the student showcase of people that are going to become those future careers. These people are working at the cutting edge of rover technology, and many of them who have competed in rover challenges in the past have gone on to work on real-life lunar missions, including Australia's first lunar rover. Seems like we have some action here from the Kangaroo Rover. So these are all university undergraduate students with a couple of postgraduate students. Some of them in their second year, maybe even first year of university, getting real hands-on experience of some of the most challenging space missions that you could possibly accomplish.
The Australian Rover Challenge is really a place that you would want to go to if you want to find some true human talent, some true determination and passion for problem solving, for space exploration, for systems engineering, for teamwork, for strategy, and everything that goes into designing, building, and operating the incredible rovers that we've seen here so far.
Other than taking away some of Earth's gravity and getting rid of all the oxygen, this is kind of as realistic as you can get for a lunar mission. It's really preparing students for a career in the space sector. And the many spin-offs that come away from this. We were talking earlier about how Australia really has strengths in operating autonomous trucks used for mining, and also deep sea exploration and navigation in other extreme environments on Earth.
Close-up view of that incredible 3D printed wheel design there. It's got a nice pattern to it in the inside.
Yeah, it's a bit like a lotus flower, isn't it?
Yeah. Very neat design as well. So very kind of thin chassis there, and beautiful suspension of those 4 wheels.
The design aesthetics and the color choices behind these rovers are important, like the engineering too, and showcase other types of careers that you can have in the space sector. It's all well and good to design something amazing that goes to another planet, but if you can't, communicate the importance of that to the public and be able to showcase it in a way that's relatable to different audiences, then what's the point? So all of those different talents play a critical role in making these space missions a success.
And that's why we were talking about space careers before. I mean, when we talk about going back to the moon and establishing a human presence on the moon, I mean, that's not just going to take engineers and scientists and all the STEM-related disciplines. It's also going to take people who are lawyers, people who are doctors, people who are psychologists and physiologists, and so many more. And not just people who build rovers and rockets, but even architects, people who figure out how do we even get a base on the moon? How could you build in that environment? What materials are best to use? And just the incredible vast variety of fields here that come into play when it comes to a growing collaborative space industry for space exploration is just incredible.
That's actually one of the aims of the Andy Thomas Centre for Space Resources, which is part of the University of Adelaide, soon to become Adelaide University. It's actually part of the School of Architecture, Civil and Environmental Engineering, because that cross-disciplinary aspect of space going forward for deep space exploration is really critical. So lunar architects, that's a real job. Like you were saying earlier, Shagaf, about psychologists, if we've got a crew of astronauts who are on a long duration mission, potentially to Mars or somewhere like that, or even spending a long time on the lunar surface, they need to be able to get along with each other, and psychologists will really help in be designing spaces, physically and literally, and lunar habitats which can support the health and well-being of crews.
Incredible rotation on the spot there by University of Wollongong with their Kanga rover. And just about 10 minutes remaining for the post-landing task. And once again, just a reminder, once this rover team wraps up the post-landing task, we'll be cutting to a lunch break and returning shortly afterwards, so stay tuned.
And for anyone out in our audience, we are getting to the hottest part of the lunar day here at Roseworthy. Please make sure you're staying hydrated, wearing a hat and sunnies, topping up on your sunscreen.
Particularly to our volunteers and camera crew.
And a big thank you too to our volunteers who have acted as field clearers, our astronaut crew, resetting the track for every team to come on and compete, and our judging crew as well, who come from a combination of industry, student body, and former competitors in the Australian Rover Challenge. Again, some deliberating there happening in mission control. Appearance of yet another gaming controller.
I think that was a pink controller. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's quite nice. Again, like we were saying earlier, the camera feeds are important, but so too is the data that you can get back from your rover. If one of your camera feeds fail or you have some kind of comms dropout, you need to rely on that other data to determine the status of your rover. So we can see on the screen there was drivetrain feedback, joystick control, and all of those can be critical to understanding what your rover is doing.
There's the field crew there discussing what could be potentially happening in the in the base station. So once again, a reminder, the team of the competing rover is split up into two, where you have a base station, kind of like a mission control, that is separated from the pitch. As you can see there on the screen, no communication to the outside team, and they can't actually see the rover. The only thing they can see on their monitors is what is coming from the rover, so the camera feeds and the sensors and that data, which is really to represent a real-world scenario when we operate a lunar rover on the moon. The second part of the team is the field crew, which are out here, and they pretty much set up the rover ready to go. If there is an intervention that is required, they will go in and intervene. If there is some sort of repositioning that's required, or troubleshooting or fixing that's needed, that's what the field crew is there is for.
And sometimes the field crew can be the best and worst job. It's always exhilarating being able to come out onto the pitch and set up your rover, and in an intervention, doing that troubleshooting on the fly and trying to get it back up working again. But when you can see potentially what's caused the rover to stop working, or you can see some kind of issue that the base station team can't see, that is when you really have to use your strength, not to just, jump and scream on the spot. You can see exactly what's happening. Or on the reverse case, if there's an issue on the comp side or with software and the rover's stationary and you have no idea what's going on, that's also a tricky situation too. So again, having that perseverance and the resilience during moments like these to keep going and keep trying and trust in the other half of your team is really, really important. And they've come so far too, from just minutes earlier, deploying a second rover and having two operating simultaneously on the pitch. Incredible stuff.
With just about 5 minutes left to go, we've seen an incredible effort from University of Wollongong here, particularly being able to start right on time as the countdown started, and successfully, eventually transversing down that ramp. And then also deploying a mini rover, which has separated fully from the main rover. And we've been told the main rover's name is Kanga and the mini rover is Roo. And the mechanism to deploy that mini rover is called the pouch, which we think is just absolutely incredible.
Base station team still hard at work in there. Often takes a really intense knowledge of the commands you need to apply as well to be able to get that software system up and running. Sometimes typing them in by hand as well. So it looks like they've got their arm control up on the GUI, so potentially they're trying to get some movements, some kind of response out of their robotic arm. You can see up in the corner it says 5 DOF arm control. DOF meaning degrees of freedom, so that's how many axes or directions the robotic arm can move in. How many joints it's got, just like a human arm with the elbow and the shoulder and the wrist. And potentially if they do some troubleshooting out on the pitch today, that might lead to some further successes later on during the remaining tasks for this week's Rover Challenge. And all the teams have time to work on their rovers as well. It's not quite like Formula One where you have parc fermé rules. Teams must be out of their workshops by a cut-off time in the evening, but work can continue on them throughout the day. Just as we can see here now, it's a hive of activity over in that workshop. Crimping of wires, soldering, I'm sure some 3D printing as well. We've seen a lot of 3D printed parts over the course of the challenge, and that's amazing too, because you can actually bring those printers to the challenge and actually print yourself some spare components if you're ever in trouble. We often see a lot of PCBs getting fried. You'll need a lot of spares of those as well. We celebrate these though, and we might see towards the end of the challenge that the trophies are actually designed by the students in a team building activity on the first day of the challenge, and it's using all of the broken components of their rovers to make a trophy. And I think that that's really symbolic of how we've taken those lessons learned and build something beautiful out of it.
Absolutely. It's only when you make mistakes and things go wrong that you're able to learn and develop something even better than that. So it's definitely worth mentioning and congratulating the teams, even those that may have not had the best luck and those that have had many setbacks or not as much time. That is definitely worth, mentioning and congratulating.
And again, it goes to show the really collaborative nature of this challenge. It's all about encouraging people to learn, to grow as engineers and scientists and artists, as we've been talking about today too. And really celebrating every single milestone, even if to some people would consider it a failure. We make something positive out of it.
And at the end of the day, it's really just about the experience. I mean, these teams, these students are coming out here. It doesn't matter, of course, it's a competition. You'd want to win. But if you don't win, imagine that experience that you're getting out of it. And, industry come to these types of events as well to look for that talent, look for that passion and determination as well. So it's really all about the experience you get and what makes you stand out from other candidates as, the future workforce for the space industry here in Australia.
Absolutely. You only learn through trying, and getting this experience now while you're still in university, before you've even graduated, is putting you so much further ahead of other students.
So just under 30 seconds to go to wrap up the post-landing task for the University of Wollongong. And just a reminder, as this task wraps up, we will be cutting to a lunch break and returning shortly for the rest of the teams to compete in the post-landing task and the space resources task here at Roseworthy at the University of Adelaide campus.
We'll be coming back live at approximately 2 p.m. local time, so it's about an hour and a bit from now.
But let's give a round of applause first to the University of Wollongong. What an incredible effort. And I really want to come around and see that mini rover as well. And well done to the rest of the teams that have competed this morning. We'll be coming back at, when was it? How long is lunch?
Lunch is about an hour, so I'm looking forward to that.
That's
about
fantastic.
2 p.m. local time. Congratulations to all of the teams that have competed this morning, that have been on the pitch for the very first time today.
So stay tuned on the live stream and here for those of you attending